Rules glossary. The glossary, yeah. So let's get to the rules glossary. So that's the last part of the thingy. They did, again, put stuff in here, so that's good. So what did they add? They added dying as a condition, knocking a creature out, short rest, telepathy, and unconscious. Revised entries. D20 test. Rolling a 1 on a D20 no longer awards inspiration, which is now called heroic advantage. Yes! My rant video helped. Thank fuck that they did this. Revise entries. Difficult. Oh, they actually put the changes here. That's good. Okay. It's good to know. Then maybe what I'm going to do. So last time I just went through the entire thing, and I don't really want to do that again because that just takes a long time for no reason. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to all of these entries, just look them up in the file, and just go through them because the rest should be the same like previous videos, and I don't really necessarily want to go through that. So we'll start with the new entries, and we'll work our way down, all right? So new entries, dying. Dying is a new entry. When a player character drops to 0 hit points, that character has the dying condition, which replaces the following rules in the 2014 Player's Handbook: falling unconscious, death saving throw, and stabilizing a creature. Okay. While dying, you experience the following effects. You have 0 hit points. If you regain any hit points while dying, this condition ends on you. Knocked out, you have the unconscious condition, which we'll look up in a minute. Okay, and death saving throws. Start of your turn, you must make a death saving throw, a special save that isn't tied to any ability score. You're in the hands of fate now. Roll a d20. If the roll is a 10 or higher, you succeed. Otherwise, you fail. A success or failure has no effect by itself. The successes and failures also don't need to be consecutive. Keep track of both until you collect 3 of a kind. The effects of which are described below. When this condition ends on you, reset the number of successes and failures to 0. So they're keeping that. You do reset your failures still. When you make a death save and roll a 1 on the d20, it counts as 2 failures. You roll a 20, you regain a hit points. Alright. 3 failures. On your 3rd failure, you die. 3 successes. On your 3rd success, you regain a hit points. This condition ends on you as normal, but you are still unconscious and start a short rest. You remain unconscious until you regain any hit points or until another creature uses an action to administer first aid to you, which requires a successful DC 10 medicine check. Damage. If you take any damage, you suffer 1 death saving throw failure. If you suffer a critical hit, you instead suffer 2. Okay, so what changed? Naming. Naming changed. Not much though, right? The only thing that changed really, and I'm actually a fan of it, is this. So 3 successes, you regain a hit point, but you're still unconscious. But someone can now use a medicine check to get you up as an action. Why do I like this? Because the big issue that I've always had with unconsciousness, and especially with the big issue that I've personally always had with unconsciousness and being at 0 hit points, is that once the whole death save idea is gone, a player has nothing to do anymore. And this at least gives your party an option to like, okay, they made their saves, let's get them. So I'm actually a very big fan of this change. The one change that I'd personally still like to see in a homebrew rule that I've been thinking about is once the 3 successes, 3 failure options is gone, that a player would be allowed to choose to roll a d20. On a 20, they become conscious. On a 1, they have to start over with their fails and saves. Why? Because I'm a horrible human being. Because I think it's the big issue with like unconsciousness is once this 3 successes is over, a player really has no way of getting to consciousness anymore. So a lot of players, so actually you kind of like, some people maybe even kind of prefer being in this situation because at least then they still get to do something. You know what I mean? I will say, however, that, you know, it does put Spare to Dying into perspective. The fact that Spare to Dying now just heals someone for a hit point makes sense. So yeah. Yeah, makes sense. It also, because this also makes it clear, like you're at 1 hit point. If you take damage, you now go to 0 hit points, you're dying again. So, like, you can't be like 0 hit points, but you're not dying or something. Like, you're stable, like, yeah. So yeah. No, I like this. This is good. This is good. All right. Knocking a creature out. Let's see where we can find that. Knocking a creature out. Sometimes an attacker wants to knock out a foe rather than deal a killing blow. When an attacker would reduce a creature to 0 hit points with a melee attack, the attacker can instead reduce the creature to 1 hit point. Creature then has the unconscious condition, starts a short rest. Creature remains unconscious until it regains any hit points until someone uses an action to administer first aid to it. Okay, so knocking a creature out is purely on melee attacks. For people who want to know this, for me personally, I also allow ranged weapon attacks to do so, but you need to make a secondary attack. But you need to make a secondary attack against the target's AC because you're now also specifically landing a shot. And if you fail that check, then the target dies if they drop to 0 hit points. If you succeed on the check, they drop unconscious. That's just a homebrew rule that I use. You don't have to use it yourself, but that's the way I do it. Because I think ranged weapon attack should be able. I don't do it on magic because magic for me is too volatile to just allow for you knocking someone out. But I think that it's good that they put that into the rules because that's always something that like missed, I guess, in the rule sets. I don't know. Did it? I don't remember. Anyway, short rest. Let's just go to like a lower pay. Oh, perfect. Called it. Short rest. All right, I'm curious if this is going to do anything. A short rest is a 1 hour period of downtime during which a creature does nothing more strenuous than eating, drinking, reading, dozing, and standing watch. To start a short rest, you must have at least 1 hit point. Right, which again ties into the idea of when you're unconscious, you have 1 hit point. Spending hit die. You can spend 1 or more of your hit die to regain hit points. For each hit die spent in this way, roll the die, add your con mod to it, regain hit points equal to the total, and you can decide to spend an additional hit die after each roll. Sure. And then some features are recharged by a short rest. Rest is interrupted by... a short rest is stopped by the following interruptions: rolling initiative, casting a spell other than a... So you can't cast cantrips during short rests. Good to know. Taking any damage. Okay. An interrupted short rest confers no benefits and must be started over. All right. Yeah, sure. This is not really much different from what it was originally. So, yeah, makes sense. Next one was telepathy, I'm pretty sure. Telepathy is a magical ability that allows a creature to communicate mentally with another creature within a specified range. Contacted creature doesn't need to share a language with the telepath. Doesn't need to share. Oh, okay. But the contacted creature must be able to understand at least 1 language or be telepathic itself. A telepath doesn't need to see a contacted creature. The telepath can start or end the telepathic contact at any time. No action required. Telepathic contact is broken as soon as the contacted creature is no longer within the telepathy's range. if the telepath contacts a different creature within range, or if the telepath has the incapacitated condition. Okay, so you can only telepathically talk to one creature, which makes sense. Creature without telepathy can receive telepathic messages, but can't initiate a telepathic conversation. Once a telepathic conversation starts, the non-telepath can communicate mentally to the telepath until the telepathic connection ends. So, yeah, okay. So they just explained telepathy. Sure. I guess. Unconscious. That was the last one of the new entries, I think. While unconscious, you experience the following effects. Inert. You have the incapacitated and prone conditions, and you drop whatever you are holding. When this condition ends, you remain prone. I think if I recall correctly, let's quickly check. I think incapacitated is just you can't take actions or reactions. Incapacitated. Can't take actions, bonus actions, or reactions. Can't concentrate, can't speak, and incapacitated while you roll initiative. You have disadvantage on the roll. Yep. So, easy enough. I could have literally just gone to the last page. Okay, sure. So, unconscious, so you're incapacitated and prone. Your speed is 0 and can't change. Attack rolls against you have advantage. You automatically fail strength and dex saves. Any attack roll that hits you is a critical hit if the attacker is within 5 feet, and you are unaware of your surroundings. Does prone still give disadvantage on attacks, on ranged attacks against you? Is prone still here? It's not. Okay, cool. So probably then, yeah. Yeah, prone is not in the glossary, so it's still the original. Because I always found it weird that, like, technically, here it says attack rolls against you have advantage, but you're also prone, which means that ranged attacks against you have disadvantage. I don't know. Okay, so this really hasn't changed. It's just rewording, I feel. Okay. Nice. I mean, that's good, right? So I think we've had all 5 of these. So revised entries. You know what I'm going to do for my own sake? So I don't have to keep going back here. I'm just going to screenshot the fucking thing. It might be easier. All right, so revised entries. D20 tests. The term D20 encompasses the 3 main... Really? This is what D20 tests is now? Okay, sure. They just got rid of everything. Okay, sure. Difficult terrain. So, what do they do? Your allies are no longer difficult terrain for you, and furniture is difficult terrain if it's one size smaller than you or larger. What? Okay, let's look at this. If a space is difficult terrain, every foot of movement in that space costs 1 extra foot. For example, moving 5 feet through difficult terrain costs 10 feet of movement. Okay? Difficult terrain isn't cumulative. Either a space is difficult terrain or it isn't. Space is difficult terrain for a creature if this space contains any of the following. Oh, okay, so it's literally a creature that isn't tiny, so you can move through your friends now. Sure. Furniture that is one size smaller than you or larger. Oh, okay. No, I get it. So if the furniture is one size smaller than you, so if you're medium and it's small, then it is difficult terrain. If it's tiny, it's not because it's more than one size smaller. If it's medium, it's not because apparently furniture that's your own size is not difficult terrain. And then if it's large, huge, or gargantuan, then it's also difficult terrain. That's just weird. Heavy snow, heavy undergrowth, liquid. Yeah, so I think this all didn't change. Sure. Okay, I can live with that. Equipping weapons, subsection of attack. Okay. So this part. Okay. clarified how equipping and unequipping works. So you can equip or unequip one weapon before or after each attack you make as a part of this action. Sure. If you equip a weapon before an attack, you don't need to use it for that attack. Equipping a weapon includes drawing it from a sheath, picking it up, or retrieving it from a container. Unequipping a weapon includes sheathing, stowing, dropping. So was that, I think that last part of the explanation just wasn't there back in the previous version of the glossary then, I'm assuming. Where's attacks? God damn it. Arcane spell. Not here. Yeah, it pretty much, yeah, it used to be just you can equip or unequip one weapon before or after each attack you make as a part of this action, even if the attack is an unarmed strike. That's the only thing it used to be.